So you want to step up your fitment game, but you don't have a few $1,000s laying around to drop on a new set of wheels and tires. So you start looking into the cheaper option, wheel spacers. But then you realize that even a good set of wheel spacers are still going to run you a few $100. So then you're sitting there contemplating whether or not that $100 set of wheel spacers is actually of any good quality. Or if you're going to be driving down the road one day when all of a sudden your studs break off and your own wheels start taking you to Applebee's. Well, that's where I come in. Because today I'm going to be installing a cheap set of spacers on my Z that I picked up from Titan Wheel Accessories for just over $100. And hopefully it'll give you a little bit of insight to whether you should or should not cheap out when it comes to spacers. So here's the deal. I filmed this entire video with time lapses, B-roll, everything. It was gonna be good. And then all my files got deleted. So for the sake of not trashing this video, I came out here, took one of my spacers off, just so I could walk you guys through the installation process. So honestly, the process is pretty straightforward. Once you have your wheel off, we're gonna wanna clean up the surface of the hub so that the spacer has something clean and flat to sit up against. So what I did was take this wire brush on my drill and then just attack the entire hub to get all that dirt and rust off. So once you have the hub cleaned, you're ready to put your spacer on. And it's as simple as just sliding it on your old studs. Then once it's on, you're gonna take your included lug nuts and then bolt it up just like you would a wheel. Now once you have all the nuts hand tight, you're gonna wanna take your torque wrench and torque it to spec according to your spacers and your car. For me, that's 80 foot-pounds. And also remember, it's important to torque them down in a star pattern just like you would a wheel. That way the spacer is tightened evenly up against the hub. Once they're torqued down, you're done. That's all there is to it. You're ready to put your wheel back on and rock some nice fitment. It's important to note that my car badly needs an alignment, which is why I'm looking flush on one side, but poking on the other. But with that aside, the build quality on these seems to be pretty good for these being budget spacers. But obviously you can't tell too much on the quality by just the install, so let's go give these things a test drive. So far, I can't feel a single difference with the spacers on as opposed to before I had them installed. I mean, obviously I haven't driven much on them, but... And don't get me wrong, I didn't expect for the driving experience to feel any different, but I'm more speaking in the term of, do these cheap spacers feel like shit when you're driving on them? Because they're cheap. Like, are they cheaply made? That's what I'm feeling for right now. And so far, I mean, it feels perfectly fine to me. I did not realize this was a dead-end road. I've never been this way before. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be able to know how good of the quality is until I drive on them for an extended period of time. But as a first impression, I mean, I'm impressed with them. Now granted, this is the only set of spacers that I've ever driven on, but I mean, they feel good. If you ask for my opinion, I say go for it. These spacers, they're nice, they seem to be good build quality. Yes, there are better spacers, there are more reputable brands that make spacers, but if you're on a budget and you want to save $100 or so, I say go for them, man. They're not bad. So for me, I'm not planning on being on these spacers permanently. I just did it so that I could have better fitment until I can afford a nice set of wheels that I want. So I think these budget spacers are going to get the job done perfectly. But we'll see how the build quality holds up over time, and I'll update y'all here in a few weeks and let you know how they're riding. So as I said, these spacers seem to be a great deal for the price. However, if you plan on running spacers for an extended period of time, it might be smart to play it safe and go with a more reputable brand. But if you only plan on running spacers temporarily, or if you're just really on a budget, then I think these spacers will be the perfect choice for you.